Not long ago, I shared a video about why I believe you should consider retiring early, especially if you're in your 50s and wondering what comes next. And I still believe every word of that message, but today I want to look at it a little differently. Because when I quit my business at 50, it didn't feel like retirement at all. It felt like a reinvention. I didn't want to work 15 more years just to finally start enjoying life. I wanted to feel free now. I wasn't walking away from work, I was walking towards something more fulfilling. I started writing and illustrating children's books, and I launched this YouTube channel to inspire other women. And I began building digital income streams like ebooks, courses, and creative work that allowed me to make money doing what I love. I wasn't chasing retirement. I was designing a life I didn't need to escape from. What I realized was that retirement doesn't have to mean stopping. For me, it meant shifting from burnout to purpose and from obligation to choice. I want to share why I stopped chasing early retirement as a destination and started focusing on designing a life that I love every single day. We've all heard it, haven't we? I just need to make it to retirement. Once I hit that savings goal, I'll finally be free. Just a few more years of this, then I can actually enjoy my life. Maybe you've even said those words. I used to think of happiness waiting for me on the other side of the finish line. I thought freedom was something you had to earn by grinding it out, checking all the boxes, and doing what you were supposed to do. Save more, work harder, be responsible, delay joy now for some vague version of happiness later. But the problem is, later really never arrives because once you reach one milestone, there's always another. One more financial goal, one more level of stability, or one more reason to keep putting off the life that you actually want. And so we stay stuck in this loop, always striving, never arriving. So here's what finally hit me. I was chasing a version of freedom that didn't actually exist. A version that depended on external milestones, not internal peace. I was buying into the belief that life starts after work ends. But what if that's not true? What if that belief is the very thing keeping us from living fully right now? So I started asking myself, what if I never hit that magic number? What if retirement doesn't look like I imagined? What if this is it and I've been missing it the whole time? The hard truth is, if you're not fulfilled now, you won't suddenly be fulfilled when you retire. Because wherever you go, there you are. You take your mindset with you. You take your stress with you. You take your dissatisfaction with you, unless you make a conscious shift. It's really about letting go of the idea that freedom and happiness are waiting at the end of a road and starting to build a life that actually feels good along the way. Let's be honest, money matters. It gives us choices. It lets us sleep at night. It buys us things like stability, safety, and peace of mind. I'm not here to tell you to throw your budget out the window or stop saving for the future. But I am here to challenge the belief that money alone is the key to a meaningful life. Because for years, I believed that if I could just save enough, if I could just hit that magic number, finally retire and stop working, then I would finally feel free. Then I'd be able to breathe. Then I'd be happy. But what actually happened, the more I focused on that number, the more anxious I became. Because the goalpost kept moving. Every time I got close to one financial goal, a new one would pop up. And even when I was doing well, I still had that nagging feeling, like I wasn't there yet, like I hadn't done enough, like freedom was always just out of reach. That's when it hit me. I wasn't chasing financial freedom. I was chasing emotional security and a sense of control, the feeling that I was safe. But money can't fix the deeper parts of our lives that feel out of alignment. It can't heal burnout. It can't repair a broken relationship. And it can't give us purpose, passion, or connection. And when we expect it to do those things, we end up disappointed, no matter how much we save. So I started to reframe my relationship with money. I stopped asking, how can I get to that number? And started asking, how can I use the money I have to support a life I actually enjoy? How can I create more freedom now instead of deferring it? That's when things really began to shift because I stopped using money as a solution to life's problems and started seeing it for what it really was, a tool, a resource, just one piece of the puzzle. Yes, it matters, but it's not the whole picture. And if you build your life around it, if you let it be the only driver of your choices, you might end up with a full bank account and an empty life. The real wealth is time, health, freedom to spend your days in ways that feel good. It's waking up excited, not just for what's in your retirement fund, but for the life you've created. Here's a question I started asking myself. What does freedom actually look like for me? Not what society says it should be, not what someone on social media is selling, and not the glossy version with a beach house and bottomless margaritas. Real freedom, my version. And when I paused to really think about it, I realized that freedom wasn't a number in the bank account. It wasn't early retirement, and it wasn't quitting everything and sitting still for the rest of my life. Freedom for me looked like waking up without dread, like owning my time, like doing meaningful work on my own terms, taking a walk in the morning with my dog and really enjoying a cup of coffee, or booking a solo trip just because I can, or having the flexibility to say yes to lunch with my daughters, or a day off just because I need it. Freedom didn't mean never working again. It meant not being trapped in a life that felt too small, too exhausting, or too disconnected from who I really was. We spend so much time chasing a version of life we're told that will make us happy, but rarely do we ask what actually makes me feel free today. So I started making a list. I feel most free when being able to say no without guilt, spending my mornings moving slowly instead of working, and working from anywhere or creating something that lights me up. Also, decluttering my calendar so that my time belongs to me again. And maybe, like me, you realize that so much of what makes you feel free doesn't actually cost that much. We're told freedom is something we earn later, but what if it's something we practice now? What if freedom isn't the finish line, but something we build in our lives one decision at a time? I started asking myself every day, what would a free version of today look like? Not someday when I'm retired, not once I hit that savings goal, but now. And I started making choices aligned with that. It wasn't always dramatic. It didn't require a radical reinvention overnight. Sometimes freedom looked like saying no to an activity that didn't light me up, or saying yes to something new and scary like launching my YouTube channel. It also looked like spending a quiet afternoon creating instead of producing. Freedom became less about escaping and more about creating a life that actually fits me. You don't have to wait until you retire to feel free. You can begin today with one small decision that moves you closer to a life that you really want. I had to stop and ask myself, am I building a life I love or just tolerating one I hope to escape from someday? Because here's the trap many of us fall into. We keep holding our breath, grinding it out, pushing through, thinking it will all be worth it once we retire. But in the meantime, we're exhausted, we're disconnected, we're so focused on someday that we completely miss the life that's happening right now. I was doing everything right on paper, saving, planning, working hard, but inside I was restless, I was burned out. It was like I was just going through the motions. So I made a decision. I stopped trying to engineer the perfect future and started asking, what can I do now, today, that aligns with the life I actually want to live? I started prioritizing joy instead of just productivity. I looked at my calendar and asked, does this reflect my values? I stopped filling every minute with tasks and started creating space for reflection, creativity, and connectivity. Living intentionally doesn't mean throwing structure out the window. It means choosing that structure on purpose. It means saying no to things that drain you, even if you used to say yes. It means letting go of what no longer fits, even if it made sense at one time. Redefine success on your terms, not society's. It's okay if what you want now is different from what you wanted 10 years ago. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to want something new. Maybe you don't want to fully retire. Maybe you just want freedom, more creative work, more time to explore passions. For me, that looked like simplifying my life, pivoting to work that brings me joy, writing and illustrating children's books, starting this YouTube channel, and building passive income streams. Not to escape life, but to design one that feels good to me. And no, it wasn't a quick fix. It took time to entangle that mindset that said rest is lazy or joy is indulgent or work is only valuable if it's hard. But the more I focused on building a better today, the less I felt the need to run towards a different tomorrow. You don't have to wait until you retire to feel free. And you don't have to hit some magic number before you're allowed to enjoy your life. You don't need anyone's permission to make a change. You can choose differently now. You can start aligning your life with what actually matters to you, not what the world told you should matter. And if you feel stuck, if you feel like the direction you're heading in doesn't excite you anymore, that's not failure. It's your intuition saying there's more for you. You don't find freedom by chasing a finish line. You create freedom by making small, intentional choices that move you closer to the life that you actually want. Maybe that means starting a side project or business that lights you up. Maybe it means decluttering your calendar or your home. Maybe creating a slower, simpler lifestyle, or finally giving yourself permission to pursue that dream that you've been thinking about for years. If you want more meaning, freedom, and more joy, you don't have to wait, because the truth is you're never really chasing money. You're chasing what you think money will give you: peace, time, happiness, and fulfillment. But those things, they start how you live today with the choices that you make now. You don't need to escape your life. You just need to redesign it with intention, so it actually fits the person who you are now and the one you're still becoming. Build something fulfilling now. Create work that is meaningful. Invest in relationships, prioritize your well-being, and define what freedom looks like for you. And don't be afraid to change the script. Thank you so much for watching.